4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, and welcome back to episode 15 of Swords, Boards, and Beards.
Hello!
It's election day.
Hey!
For all of your friends across the pond,
We're either really glad for you or really sorry.
Commiserations.
Depending on your political leanings, we're just neutral. We like Switzerland.
What's scary about the whole situation is, regardless of who wins the American election, it will have a huge impact on the rest of the world, regardless. So, one of the biggest superpowers on the planet, if you have an angry orange man in charge of them, then
yeah, it'll be interesting. Happy election day, folks. It's out. Or if you're in this side of the pond, let's set the politicians on fire like Guy Fawkes. Happy Guy Fawkes night.
Oh, yeah, it's Guy Fawkes night. Yeah.
We're releasing this episode on November the 5th. If I'm not wrong when I did the planning.
Get your white mask on and go and burn the Houses of Parliament.
Go and use Hugo Weaving's voice.
Yeah. Say words beginning with V.
Shave Natalie Portman's head.
She still looked good.
She did, and she does.
She still does. Right, so today we are talking about various things you can do to either escape the current political sphere, or you can dive the other way into it, and what political games you can play.
Absolutely.
And things to watch.
I was thinking this because clearly there'll be some people who listen to day one. Hooray! Other people know already when they listen to this who won that election. Some people won't care. Some people will listen to this in a year's time and go, what? So the plan is, in my head, it wasn't a plan. This afternoon I was thinking, it was like, well, between election day and inauguration day, there's a whole 2-month period there where you can think about, yay, who's coming, or boo, who's not. And as Adam said, stuff that might be fun politically to play if you want some political playness, or politically avoid, like when they put at the cinema, when the World Cup's on, and they have counter programming for the football, or they have the real they put the football film on.
What was it that was on telly recently, and it was like on every single channel? And then it was the Corrie Nene. It was King Chaz's Corrie Nene, where there was like every single channel had it on except for like Channel 4, which was showing like the Emoji Movie or something like that.
Now that's counter programming.
Someone's gonna have to watch it if they hate the king that much.
It's one of those mental things. So yes, we thought today that we would carry you through suggestions, both to have political parties, not literally, if you feel the need, political activities, games, movies, books, stuff you can read, video games you can play, board games you can play, and how you can throw some politics into your role-playing as well, should you feel the need.
And let's just make it nice and clear as well before we get into these lists that this isn't sort of rage bait politics where we're going to be like, oh, play this because it's full of wokeness. It's just games that have a political leaning. Whether that's a farcical sort of highly satirized version of things or something slightly closer to home. That's the sort of idea behind our little lists that we've created. Absolutely.
So yes, it's more about there's politics in it, because why not? It's the theme. On a Christmas episode, we'll talk about Santa.
Will we?
We are now.
Have you seen that fella on TikTok? He's like, tell me the story of the red god, Jason. And he goes into the pagan sort of origin stories of things like Santa Claus and the Tooth Fairy and stuff. It's a fantastic guy. I forget his name otherwise.
The pagan god Jason.
No, he's basically he's doing a story where he's like, in this house, Jason, we like Santa because he's got a big red cape and big white beard. And he's like, tell me the story of the red god.
Oh my word.
In pagan nightmare times. It's very cool.
Mental.
I'll send them to you on TikTok.
No, well, I open them on TikTok?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make my thing do this. So, before we get into the nuts and bolts, let's do a little bit of homework. A little bit of preamble.
Sure.
After the preamble.
Hobbit Corner?
Hobbit Corner. Now, for those that...
Insert jingle here.
Insert jingle here for those, and Adam's requested I don't, and I won't. Adam just sang it to me.
I tried.
Before the press. It was beautiful.
Thanks.
And it's one of those things that, when you go somewhere and you take a photograph, and sometimes you've got battery, you just have to experience it, enjoy it for what it is, and take the memory with you. You can't photograph it. You can't Instagram it. Adam's singing will go with me to the grave.
Good.
Or cause me to turn
On
to
your
the grave.
birthday, I'll sing to you again.
Well, what song will that
You
be?
lucky boy.
For now.
What's your Hobbit Corner, Mr. Hawk?
What's my Hobbit Corner this week? I'm looking at you telling me what to do. I like it. This week has been, this fortnight's been really interesting. I managed to play session 2 of Blade Runner. We had some diary issues. But session 2 was really interesting. For those who don't know, Free League created the Blade Runner RPG based in the universe with Harrison Ford running around catching replicants and dispatching them, retiring them is the official term. And I'm playing this game as 2 cops, with me as a DM, and they're investigating this mystery. And we played the second part. We had our first battle within this universe. First need for what was it? Basically, they were going to this apartment to investigate it into. It's not a crime scene. It was clues. Look for clues. One of the people has gone missing. One of them has been murdered. They're looking around the missing person's apartment. Before they get there, there's some gangsters or thugs that are wanting you to go away because it's this dingy apartment and you turn up looking like policemen, or they had chosen to dress that way. So they had a fight. It was quite fun.
Cool.
Played fighty. So that was good, and they enjoyed the clues, and the feedback afterwards was good. And it's one of those things where I said it before in previous episodes. I don't want to shoehorn them to get the clues.
Sure.
Because it's an obvious
If they miss it,
thing.
they miss it.
And there are ways around it, but they both said it doesn't feel like I'm shoehorning, which is
Well, that's good. Excellent.
And they're finding stuff out, and I'm throwing some mystery in as well. So Kevin should be writing. Is one of my players. Toby, who's been in the podcast too, is my other, and it's really fun to watch the play. So that's one thing. The Australian crew on a Saturday morning. Very weird playing D&D.
Strange playing Dungeons and Dragons.
8 a.m.
Yeah, on a
8
Saturday
a.m.
morning on Zoom.
We finished it. We were playing Eat the Reich, which is fun, killing zombies, but killing Nazis using vampires. Because you play as vampires. But you kind of log off at 10 a.m. and go, I should be going to bed. Now, hang on. I'm getting up. Because
We mentioned this before, because when we've DM'd separately and played games separately and things, I always tend to find that after a session, I'm just exhausted mentally, especially if I'm running a game, because I'm trying to sort of herd a bunch of cats or whatever. To do that at like 10 in the morning and then have your whole day ahead of you, I imagine that's a bit of a thing, isn't it?
It was very weird, and it was like I literally, what am I on now? And we're playing again this weekend, and I'm going out afterwards to go Christmas shopping, early Christmas shopping, which is the weirdest thing to kind of. Normally, I would literally be, having a drink and making the dogs go out for their last pee and that kind of nonsense, and instead I'm going to the shops to town. Weird. So that, and then other stuff. Actually, my other stuff I shall leave to the main meat of it because it's
Excellent.
relevant.
Oh, good. Okay.
So, tenuously relevant, but relevant. So, that's me. What about you?
So, 40k wise, doing some more painting. I picked up some jump pack assault intercessors. What a sentence! And
Say it again 5 times fast.
No. And put one together and started painting them. I've got 1 of 5 done already, so that's good. Also, I sold my Xbox that had just been sitting there collecting dust, and with the proceeds of that, managed to pick up the rest of my army. So I have a full army now, which is great. Well, I say I haven't picked it up yet, but I've ordered it, which is good. So that's exciting. That's like physical hobby-wise. Otherwise, I watched some films the other day. I had a friend from Hastings come up, and we went to the pub and had some dinner, and then came back and watched some films, and we ended up watching Stargate.
You've not seen it before?
I've seen it before when I was like 8.
Had he?
Yeah.
Kurt Russell's flat top.
It's amazing.
It's the haircut of the time period between him and James Spader.
Yep. Yeah, it's a thing, isn't it?
It's a film.
Yeah.
It's good fun.
It's all right.
It's bobbins.
It's all right.
It's absolute bobbins.
It's definitely something.
And it's probably the least smutty of James Spader's films because he tends to...
I don't know, he does hook up with the only woman in the
But it's not like it's Crash, where he deliberately crashes the car to have sex in the car with Holly Hunter.
No, which film's that in?
Crash.
Oh.
It's not just...
I have seen that. Yeah.
So, not Crash, the other one.
Stargate?
No, there's another film called Crash. Came out at a similar time.
Oh, okay, maybe not that. What's the one that's got like the different people's perspectives?
That.
Right.
Crash.
Okay, well, that doesn't really narrow it down, does it? Anyway, Stargate
there are
was
2
all right.
films with the same name.
Right.
This is where Kevin will say, no, it's not. It'll shout in my ear.
Were they both David Spader?
Look, James Spader.
James Spader. I don't know. Anyway, watch that, and then I watched A Colour Out of Space again with Nick Cage because it's just a good film.
Very good. Had other Adam seen that?
No.
Did he
so
enjoy
that
it?
was fun, yeah.
Did it break him?
No, not really.
How drunk was he?
Yeah, he was pretty drunk. So it was good. It was a good laugh.
Nice.
Bottle of scotch and sat and drank that while listening to Nicolas Cage do his Donald Trump impression when he gets angry.
Oh.
Those are alpacas.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
This makes the best radio because Adam does do the best Donald Trump hand impression. Anyone
Yeah,
who's
the
seen-
voice is terrible. But
it's on the internet as well, but if you ever look, Adam just did a great thing where if you...
terrific people.
And it's always Donald Trump playing an accordion.
Yeah.
Because accordion hands,
or like pulling out a piece of like chewing gum, so it's long and stringy.
and they're short and not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Terrific people.
There's a joke. I'm keeping tonight
Best
clean.
guys.
I'm keeping this episode clean, so I'll be polite.
But that's my Hobbit Corner.
Very good.
Basically. Yeah.
Allegedly,
Ooh.
very much allegedly, it's not really. I'd like to thank some people because we've had listeners call in and tell me the
Have we?
etymology of the expression "flash in the pan." Like I didn't really know. So thanks for that, folks, because I did know, and I was trying to crack a poo joke because I'm 12. But I really
I legit thought you had no idea what you
Oh, no,
it was
I-
flash in the pan and
I
had
know,
thought that for
I just
years and years and years.
No, I just ate. I'm mentally 8 years
Right.
old. Therefore, anything to do with poo
Okay.
is funny.
Well, no, it's like for years until I met my wife, I've been singing a certain song with the wrong lyrics for my whole life, and she corrected me like day one.
And now you have to tell us what song it is.
My lover's got no money. He's got his trombolese. It's not that.
Really? It's not even a word.
No, I know. That's why I was always confused. I was like,
how
I
did
don't know
your
what a
wife correct
trombolese
you?
is. He's got his strong beliefs.
There we go.
Yeah. No, legit.
How often do you have your ears syringed to get the wax?
Not often. Let the dog lick it.
That could explain so much.
Yeah.
So thank you, folks, for contacting us and saying this is what it means. I do know I'm stupid on this, but I'm vaguely. Thanks, that's really cool.
My lover's got no money. He's got his trombolese.
Okay. Okay, so next episode we're going to get that ready for the opening. And between us, I will join in.
Yeah.
We'll have a week off from singing this week, but next week, okay.
Yeah. We're going to do a musical episode, are we? You're going to write a
We'll
song.
write songs.
Our 5 listeners is going to drop to like 2.
We should do Hobbit Corner as a song. We'll do a verse.
Right. Oh, God. Okay, right.
So,
political games.
Political leanings.
Political
Indeed,
leanings.
Absolutely. So, well, you started this ball off with your brain, so I'm going to let you.
Okay, so I jump in the deep end, and I was thinking, what is the most dire political system game I think I've ever played, but yet is strangely endearing? It's called Papers, Please.
Okay.
It came out, gosh, early sort of 2010s, around that sort of period. In fact, I'll give it a quick IMDb while we're talking. It's written by one guy. It's like pixel graphics, and the storyline of it is that you are a family living in an fake Eastern European country, and you've been seconded to border control by your sort of communist government, who assigns people jobs and domiciles and things, and moves families around to where they need to be. And you have a 30-day job to work on this border and check people's passports as they come into the country and as they're fleeing from neighbouring countries who are war-torn and things like that. And it's all sort of glory to our Stotska, which is your fake country and things. And as you get things wrong and as things go badly, you start not being able to feed your family or heat your home, and people get sick and your family can die. But then on the other side of things, like people coming to the border are like, please let me in, they're going to kill me if you don't, and things like that. So on one hand, you're sort of like,
Can you stop them coming in? Do you have control?
Yeah, you're
So
literally
you have to make
stamping
them, you are the moral
passports.
compass.
Yeah, you're stamping passports either yes or no, and you have to check all their details and things. And it starts off pretty simple of just check the passport number, check their country is actually a country. You have like a list of countries they can come in from. And then as each day progresses, it gets more and more. And it starts off with people then, like, it ends up, I mean, I think I've ever finished a run, because like I say, it's a 30-day thing, and each day it gets progressively more complicated. But it starts off with, as I say, you just checking passport numbers, but by sort of day 15, you're like checking heights and weights and seeing if they've got contraband on them, you're fingerprinting people, you're detaining people if they have the wrong details, people are smuggling stuff in, people are sort of starting like small sort of splinter terrorist organisations are trying to sort of coerce you into letting their agents through and things like that. And then the border patrol are coming by, and there's terrorist attacks. And
so this is your
things like
recommendation if you want to avoid counter-programming to politics, yeah, not real life at all.
No, it's set in 1984 or 1982, sorry, and yeah, think of it sort of as that Eastern Bloc sort of. But
it sounds quite familiar.
Really good. It's really good for a little pixel game. You can get it on PC, consoles, and your mobile phone. That's where I play it. I play it on my mobile phone.
Okay.
Soundtrack's great. It's like
there's nothing like a good beat to Stamping Past.
Yeah, exactly. And you would have thought, and it's one of those things that popped up as like the games you might like on Steam sort of thing. It's that strategic stuff.
The algorithm knows your political leaning.
Well, yeah, glory to Rostotska. But and I was just like, nah. And I watched a streamer play it, and I was like, actually, this is really quite endearing. And then picked it up and was like, yeah, it's fantastic. So, I mean, it's worth a go. Check out the trailer on Google, on YouTube, or whatever. I sent it to you before we started.
You did, I had a look.
And yeah, it's a really cool little game. I really like that one.
Nice.
That's my first pick if you're looking to get into.
Political leanings.
Yeah.
Political leanings game. These are definitely, we're starting with the things that are topic relevant, not topic avoiding.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you were interested in the next, let's say, 3 months between Donald or Kamala
running a border on an Eastern European country.
Nothing says, yeah, you can build a wall. No, you can't build a wall.
No.
Papers, please.
You can detain people and have them arrested and things. And I don't think nice things happen to them after they've been arrested.
Is there a level of waterboarding?
I'd assume so.
Oh, good.
Well, there's a point in it I remember where a guard comes up and he's like, I get commission every time you detain someone. So I'll split my earnings with you if you detain enough people. And you're like,
wow,
I can't afford medicine for my sick son at home. He's going to die if I don't do this. So I'm going to detain innocent people in order to get a cut of the money so I can then feed my family. It's like that sort of level of things. It's like, yeah, it's pretty gnarly stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Yeah, I will go and play and feel guilty and bitter. That's the problem when I play role-playing games, and there's the role-playing kind of moral compass side of the game. Even then, by role-playing, I don't mean around the table, I mean like anything. When it's whether it's Skyrim level or Fallout, whatever, and I get to a point where you're never coming back from this decision.
Yeah. Do you always save it at that point and then go, well, what if I'd done it the other way?
I don't save it because I know I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're just messing the game.
Mm-hmm.
But I always regret my decision.
Regardless of what you pick?
Not always, obviously, but then, because I'm often a straight-laced guy, not because I don't mind being the bad guy, in inverted commas, but because I just do that. But then I always wonder, should I have?
I find it really difficult with that sort of thing. So, like, Baldur's Gate 3 is a prime example. First playthrough, Paladin, righteous glory, and everything's lovely and stuff. And then the second playthrough I did the Dark Urge. And I was like, this is horrendous. Like, I don't want to kill. Like, you're killing these companions that you have throughout the beginning of the game. So, like, for those of you who have played Baldur's Gate, you'll know that when you meet Gale, the wizard, he's sticking his hand through a portal, and you need to put him out the portal and stuff. You're the Dark Urge, you can just chop his hand off and just leave him on the other side. And it's like, yep, so you're never going to get him. You meet Karlach, and you just chop her head off.
Nice.
And it's like, I love Karlach.
That is... And I've just restarted a new playthrough of Baldur's Gate where I've just rediscovered Gale, because I'm really at the beginning.
I love Gale.
And I saw recently at a Comic-Con, just online, I didn't go, but someone did the best cosplay of his hand through the portal.
Oh, fantastic.
Normal dress on one side, and then his hand the perfect glove, and they're carrying a circular disc that cuts out from cardboard. It was ludicrous, but it's like, okay, respect. I do like that. I've lost my note to remind me what we're doing. Yes, no. Papers, please.
Papers, please.
Papers, please. So check out Papers, please. Another suggestion for the group.
I'll tell you who made it real quick.
Oh, do it. And I'm going to suggest this one because I'm interested myself, but then you probably talk about it more than me because I think you either know of it more or played it more.
See, so look, this is where it picked up from where I started. And you walk to work, and off you go. You see, there's the border. It's pretty gross. I think it's by a fellow called Jacob something or other. But yeah, as I say, it's like a one-man project, I think.
Very good. One I want to start playing, which says political leanings. For those of you with this video game persuasion, I'd like to give Frostpunk a go. which looks fun. I know friends of mine have played it. I know you've mentioned it
If you
before.
have Xbox Game Pass or PlayStation Plus, they are available to download through them.
I know it's really cheap on Steam. The first game is like £4 on Steam at the moment.
Yeah.
The second one's just come out.
They play better on the PC.
Yeah.
The second one has just come out. Obviously, I don't know anything about the second one, but the first one is probably the most punishing survival city management game I've ever played. And I love that sort of thing. I love things like, Civilization, Total War, and things like that. So to play something like Frostpunk was a
and it
real
isn't
step
just
in the right
so.
direction.
To clarify for people who are listening, it isn't because I looked at it first, and it was obviously city building, and you put buildings in the right place and get resource management. But there's also the voting system.
Yeah. So the setting of it is that basically like a new ice age has come along and wiped out most of humanity, and what's left of people have left London and have congregated around this huge thermal generator that's in the middle of nowhere in this big crater, because it's the only source of sort of heat on the planet. But the generator needs constant coal to keep it functional, and it's obviously hotter the closer you are to the generator. So you, as leader of this sort of group of individuals, which get more and more people over time and things like that, is in charge of feeding them, keeping them warm, getting materials, expanding the city, making it like habitable for as many
And there's
people.
only one generator throughout the entire thing.
Yeah, but you can upgrade it and you can do, but then that costs more coal and energy and things like that, and that's a finite resource. So it's sort of you're constantly trying to balance keeping your population alive and happy while keeping enough resources to keep everyone. And no matter what you do, your choices will upset someone down the road, sort of thing. So it might be like, right, one of the first choices you have to make in that game is children. We have a bunch of children with us.
Shall we make them work for us? Oh, I was kidding.
Yeah, literally. Do we put them to work
Child
in the
labour.
factories? So doing jobs around, or do we like house them, which then will cost you more resources for housing?
So do you remember what you chose?
Yeah, well, I've done it a couple of times to see what would happen. You can put them into work, and it does help because they're not like down in the mines. They're like surgeons' assistants or engineers' assistants and stuff. But yet workplace accidents can happen and they can die and things like that. Or you can let them run free, and it's sort of like, well, not run free, but like create schools and things like that for them and keep them sort of
Run free.
yeah. But like it's a real tough one because if they are, you need the population at certain points. Like we're not making enough coal, we're not gathering enough coal to keep the generator going. We're not gathering enough food to keep everyone happy because I've not got enough people, because people are getting ill, people are getting frostbite because they're going too far away from the generator because they're going out to catch resources. So my workforce is dwindling, yet my demand for resources is going up. So it comes like, it sort of forces your hand a bit and is like, you need to send the kids out a little bit, and things like that, because the temperature is one of the things you have to take into account because it will fluctuate. So it might be for the first few days, it might be like quite a nice, sort of, I say nice, might be a -30. And then you'll get a couple of days spikes where it goes to like -60. And it's like, right, you now double power, you're double coal use. People can't go anywhere near out as far as they need to and things like that to be able to get things. So it's a real tough situation. That was one. And then eventually it splits into two paths, the storyline for the first game. And it's either, do you want to like militarize crackdown on your civilian population and have like a roving police force and keep people sort of like law and order will keep us alive?
Yeah.
Or do you go the religious route and sort of say, right, faith in the higher power will keep us together? And it's like, and they're both very different cities, and then they have completely different building chains and different sort of problems will pop up and things based on what you pick and things. So you can either you go left or right. And I think the second one will have a similar type system, but apparently there's a lot more politics and a lot more sort of like diplomacy and things.
Okay.
Because if you mess up, you basically just get exiled from the city, and that's you dead. That's your character
the
dead.
trailer I've seen, I don't know if it's in the first one, but the trailer I've seen for the second one, where there's the Senate or whatever, and you've got the voting.
Yeah, you never had that in the first one.
Because this will win premium, you have to get 51% of the vote. You need 51 out of the 100 people in the ring. So I thought that would be an interesting. I haven't, I'm sure there are, come across that in a game mechanic before. It's always hinted at, or the politics is hinted at, and if you want a shooter, they just tell you where to go.
Yeah,
go,
sure.
A soldier. So I thought, do you know what? To have to wrangle enough arguments in that kind of game, or persuade people, or click the right thing in your role-playing persuasion to make people vote your way.
Absolutely. Here's one of the dilemmas they throw at you, just to give you a taste of it as well.
Yeah.
People start dying
Yeah.
What do you do with the bodies?
You warm yourself up.
Do you dig graves for families to mourn, or do you repurpose those people into fertilizer for your crops?
or eat them.
Yeah.
Or you could make them.
People are getting sick because there's a massive pile of dead bodies in the street. What do you do with them?
Digging graves? Would the digging graves keep you warm? Slightly dark humour.
Honestly, it's that sort of level of stuff. Like, I've never run a successful run. Never. Like, I've been exiled. I think my longest run has been like 8 months into a campaign.
And how long technically is the campaign?
I think it just goes on and
on.
You
don't know?
Yeah, I don't know. So, yeah, it's a very cool game. It's a very cool game. I expect it to kick your butt, though. It's one of those.
I had an interesting revelation earlier today through help with another politically leaning game, which is hot off the recent press.
Is that the title of the game?
No. And I realise it absolutely is, as weird as it sounds. If you want a shooty, just play Black Ops. Because politicians are doing the dirty work behind your back and making you go and do Black Ops.
Yeah. Well, the new ones, I don't know if you've seen it, but the new Call of Duty, I think it's Black Ops 6. Yeah. The last one I played was like 2. So I
think I've managed 3.
But it's like, it's Bill Clinton and all that. It's 90s. It's that sort of era, isn't it?
Yes, because the 90s... 30. I know this is not sarcasm.
Don't stop it.
30 years ago, when I was in doing GCSEs in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I look back and go, well, the 60s when the Beatles were out. The distance now between now and us.
Yeah, no, I know.
It's the distance between my school years and when the Beatles were playing.
Yeah.
That doesn't bless me a lot. But I did think, and actually that was a suggestion from Kevin Should Be Writing. And he went, yeah, Black Ops, because Black Ops is. You were literally.
Yeah, it used to be things like the Vietnam War and things like that you were being sent in to do like covert stuff for.
Things CIA you shouldn't be doing to help people out because nudge, wink, wink.
Yeah, or the KGB or whoever it was, sort of thing.
So it's an easy for those of you, and the one you suggested, the other video game before we move on to other topics, other things. You suggested Bioshock, or the Bioshock franchise.
Yeah,
the first 2.
So I think 3 as well because it's
good old Comstock.
It's a hugely satirised, sort of really pushed to its extreme sort of political ideology in it. But it's that whole, is a man not entitled to the sweat on his brow?
Absolutely.
No, it belongs to God, says the man in the Vatican and things.
Yeah.
So it's that sort of ideology that's led to Rapture being a thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
so.
No, it is one of my favourite franchises, and although you are playing... It's not on the rails, but you kind of realise, I've got to go over here, do this task. I've got to go over here, do this.
Would you kindly?
Exactly. But it is one of my favourite universes, and the scope of it, and the vibe of it, and the feel of it, and the fact that all that politics in the background of, which is why Rapture exists. For those who don't know, Rapture is an underwater world where the guy decided to build his city underwater because he was sick of politics, he was sick of all the people, he was sick of all religion.
Sick of being told what to do, and
so he built the city.
Moral ethics codes for scientists.
And you'll be surprised to hear that it all went wrong.
Yeah. Shocker.
Yes, by a shocker.
Hey.
But it's the universe and the politics, and it's just right down my... And the vibe is very 19...
It's set in the New Year's Eve of 1959.
Okay. It's that kind of, which is mine.
It's when it all started going wrong for Rapture.
Kind of.
I think you get down there a few years after that, but it's, yeah.
So, political leaning games, vaguely, not vaguely. Well, I'm going to suggest, if you're happy, do all the politics and do all the non.
Yeah, sure.
So, if you're not into video games, what's wrong with you? But apart from that, he says dissing half the listenership. His sister being one of them. Things you can watch on TV in the next 6 months, if you want, 3 months.
I haven't watched TV in over 3 years, so this will be all you.
This will be all me. So really, really simple ones that you can, and this will hint at my Hobbit Corner too. I'll come back to my Hobbit Corner.
Oh, hang on, let me guess. House of Cards, that's a political drama, right?
It's not what I was going to talk about, but it is on the list.
Okay, The West Wing.
That's on there.
Parks and Recreation.
No. Although that is
a political thing.
And it's also relevant but also counter-programming.
Yeah.
So for those of you who know The West Wing, written by Aaron Sorkin, and a movie that ties into that, because I've done a bunch of movies too. He also wrote The American President, which is a film starring Michael Douglas, Michael J. Fawkes, and Annette Bening. Michael Douglas and Martin Sheen.
Yeah.
Who then went on to play Martin Sheen played the chief of staff to Michael Douglas. it was a drama and a romance thing between Michael Douglas and Annette Bening, blah, blah, blah. Really good film. And because of the success of that script and that written thing, they then went into the West Wing, and Martin Sheen came back and played the president instead.
Ah, I see.
And those of you who know Aaron Sorkin's work, I really like his script writing. It's very clever and very quick, and you can't talk over it.
Because you'll miss bit.
I remember, and even no fault of a friend of mine, I watched it, an episode with a friend once, and he talked all the way through it, and then he went to bed. And then I around it and watched it again because I needed to hear the plot, and it was like one weekly show, and I just literally, he didn't mean to talk over it.
Yeah.
He was just talking over it. It's like, I need to hear what they're saying. So then he went, oh, I'm off to bed now, see it. So I just went, rewind, watch the entire thing again from scratch. I didn't move.
Wow.
Only, not in an anal way, but I remember thinking, I'll forget to watch this, I haven't got time. What did he say? And I kept skipping back. And I kept skipping back. Anyway, it's the kind of dialogue where you have to listen. Otherwise, you'll miss points, and it's very quick. And it was also my integration into one of the ways I learned how to kind of semi-understand American politics anyway. And very clever. My list. I'll keep my iPad keep showing. So, worth a watch if you like it, if you want to find it. It's somewhere like Freevee now.
What's Freevee? Is it like Freevee?
The Freevee is on Amazon. It's tied in through. I don't know if it's tied in through Amazon.
It's like the free Amazon Prime thing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And it was on there. So if you haven't got it, it's worth a look. House of Cards is on my list. For those, again, it was. Do you remember the original? Did you know there was an original? No. Because originally it was based in the UK Parliament, and Alec Guinness, played the Kevin Spacey character.
Oh, okay.
And his entire thing was set in the English political system.
Okay.
And
that's cool.
Jarring, 70s, clearly Alec Guinness, like the era of Star Wars Guinness, that kind of look to him, without the beard. So 70s, I'll be corrected by someone online. And then obviously Kevin Spacey, who we don't mention because he's a weirdo. But the House of Cards then became the thing in the American system, and that I thought was very clever as well.
Very popular TV show.
It was really, really good. He is bafflingly weird in my brain, but we're going to ignore him as a character and as a show. It was really good. I never finished it because of the stuffs that happened when they pressed pause on his career and therefore paused the show.
And it all came out to like that he was bizarre and stuff.
Yeah, and then they finished the season off by making his wife the main character.
Right, okay.
And binning him completely. But therefore, it's one of those shows. So that's another one if you want to look for it.
British equivalent.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of British
British equivalent
hardline politic shows? I mean, I can think of things like The Thick of It.
Yeah, The Thick of It.
That's a comedy, isn't it?
Look at you. Is that on your list? Yeah, but what I think is interesting about The Thick of It, A, it's very funny.
Yeah.
B, I was introduced to Peter Capaldi in The Thick of It, and then he went to become Doctor Who.
He went on to be Doctor Who.
It's like, is Doctor Who going to be the first Doctor to tell you to fuck off?
Yeah.
Because
he does a lot of that.
He does a lot of that in The Thick of It. And it is, but also interesting because I know that recent British politicians, and I'm sure they are, who was the dude that helped Alistair Campbell, was it? Who it was? Somebody in the British political system was famous for being as sweary as Peter Capaldi.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's kind of it's the kind of thing that I think probably shows you what it's really like. Probably. The machinations behind the scenes of getting the press on board and doing this and shutting that door and opening that door and the party whip doing this. And you will toe the party line, etc., etc. So although I think of it as a comedy, I think it probably is. It's worth your time purely because it's Armando Iannucci, who is a genius at writing stuff. And he made it with Jesse Armstrong, I believe. It's a very, very good show anyway, but also you kind of go, oh, it's like that. Which will lead me onto why we go back to Hobbit Corner.
Yeah.
Because the thing I've been catching up on, I never saw beyond the first season when it was out, and now it's back in my brain, is Succession.
Right, yeah, because that was quite critically acclaimed, wasn't it?
It's political. I'll get to it. It's written by Jesse Armstrong of the same Thick of It nature.
Right, okay.
And it's that side of it. And although it's not funny, I mean, it is funny. It's not
designed to be funny.
It's not as comical.
Yeah.
It's darkly comic, shall we say?
Mm-hmm.
Which the Thick of It is too. It feels more drama. It's more HBO because it is HBO. But it also shows the machinations from outside. So the whole thing of Succession, for those of you who haven't ever seen it, it's a media family. It's basically the Murdochs.
Right.
They've said for all intents and purposes, including one of Murdoch's daughter has said that character's. They don't care.
Yeah.
And ironically, it's currently
But what are they going
broadcast.
to do? They're not going to touch them.
Well, they're the ones that broadcast it on their own Sky
exactly.
channel, so they don't really care. But what's fascinating is watching all the machinations from that side of the world and how it affects politics, because he's talking to the president to get this, and he's doing that, and he's doing that. Although it's back in America, because a lot of shows are.
Yeah.
But it's the same guys who helped create the thick of it. And the film, do you remember the film off the back of the thick of it? It's the same characters before he died. Capaldi's character came to America, and they had James Gandolfini, Tony Soprano in it as well, and it's called In the Loop.
Right.
Same writers, same script.
What, as the guy Tony Soprano?
No, but they had it's him playing.
So that's a crossover and a half.
That's a crossover. No, it's playing him. He was like Capaldi's American
counterpart. Sort of
almost. They butt heads a lot. I don't think
Right.
he literally was, but it was very interesting to put the two cultures together because it was the thick of it humour, but in an American setting, and it was just very jarring. I mean, I think it's meant to be because
unlike
the
the Office UK and the Office US stuff.
putting them in that is worth your time if you see it. A 90-minute movie, same humour, same banter, and available elsewhere. It's been out for a while. My last suggestion, Kev's last suggestion. I was chatting with Kev today, and he went 24. This is where Kevin will put a comment in the blog. Tell us why it's politically motivated, Kev.
Yeah,
I'm sure you can, and I know.
Kiefer Sutherland's Jack Bauer.
Yeah, and he then went on to do what's the show that got axed recently, where he played. It's not called Last Man Standing. It's basically in politics when they go and do keynote address in American politics, which is called State of the Union.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. They leave one guy behind. So should that building be blown up, there's one guy who can still run the government. They always pick someone.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, and that's a true thing, right?
Okay.
And they leave one, and it's normally a low level whatever.
Yeah.
But they leave one guy, and he signs paperwork, blah 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 blah, and then obviously nothing happens, and he comes back. And this show was Kiefer Sutherland, who was the guy who had to stay behind. And of course, it being a show, it did kick off, and he has to restart the government from scratch. And I forgot Final Survivor, Last Survivor, something like that.
Right, that sounds interesting.
And it's Kiefer Sutherland.
If you just IMDb Kiefer Sutherland, it'll be on his list.
It'll be on,
of things.
absolutely.
Like-
But it's Kiefer Sutherland in glasses. It's not quite Jack Bauer, but he's as earnest as Jack Bauer, but he's in a suit. It's weird. Okay.
Cool.
So, if you want to watch TV shows, there are suggestions. Tell us about your movie choices.
Movie choices. Civil War. I know we talked about it in the last episode.
Yes.
You can't really get much more political than Civil War, really.
That's possibly going to be my film of the year.
You think so?
It might be.
It's pretty good. It was pretty good.
I remember when I went to see it, I saw it just after Dune, or around a similar time as Dune Part 2.
We went together.
No, yeah. But when I saw Dune Part 2, because I know some people don't, and you're not a fan, but I really enjoyed the Dune films. And I was like, this, as I'm watching things, I tend to think, is this going to be in my top 10? Blah, 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 because I always, for me, generate a top 10. And yes, it is, and how high up the list. It's like, yeah. And then I watched this low-budget little Civil War film about politics, and went, this might beat that big tentpole thing in my brain. Because it was fun. It wasn't fun at all. It was traumatic to watch, but it was also very interesting. So again, it was to describe it to the folks at home.
So the real quick synopsis of the plot is that America has had evolved over the course of like the last presidential running, the 4 years of that presidency, they descended into civil war. Texas and California had joined up and separated from the 50 states.
Yep.
And it was all kicking off. And the story follows a group of journalists traveling from New York to Washington during this sort of time of political turmoil and violence between rival groups, Republicans, Democrats, and things like that, to watch the assassination of the president. It had been sort of planned. They knew it was coming. The presidency had sort of, their military sort of things had dwindled to the point where they knew they couldn't keep him alive. It was a matter of time. They were like, we've got to get to Washington within 5 days because he's going to get killed, and we want to be there to interview him before he does. Yeah. And it's them trying to make their way across the country, being held up by various things, and the sort of state of what's happening over there, and how people are getting on with their day to day and things like that. it's fascinating. It's really...
It was very interesting, and as you say, as they come across normal Americans doing their normal day-to-day stuff in this surreal world.
Nick Offerman plays the president, which is mental. Like,
he is very good in that role, shall we say.
Yeah, Nick Offerman's a fantastic actor.
He's good in everything.
He's Ron Swanson.
He's Ron Swanson. Which, reversing back to TV, jokes aside,
Parks and Rec. Yeah.
For anyone who's ever worked in local authority, either side of Europe or America, you'll fully appreciate what you're seeing on TV.
A Ron Swanson character. Absolutely.
Yes.
That would be my pick for a film.
Okay.
I'd say. I can't really think of many others off the top of my head. And things, unless you're looking a bit like, the classic 80s things like Patriot Games and A Few Good Men and things like that. However, I kind of have a feeling they would fall more into the camp of anti-political stuff as just like stuff to turn your brain off and watch action.
Yeah.
Rather than, if you're looking for something to go down the other route, if you see what I mean. So.
Yeah. My suggestions for those of you, I'll start. Well, my list here. We being of the British variety. Start with V for Vendetta.
Yeah,
that's a good one. It being the fifth. And also, I jumped that in for the book as well. I had a conversation with a friend, Brian, with a friend of mine, Brian, who we agreed that depending with which Alan Moore book you read first, whether you read V for Vendetta first or Watchmen first, that's the one you tend to think is better.
The better one.
Not because it necessarily is, but he and I, this was years ago, he may disagree with me now, but I remember having the conversation because I read one and he read the other. We both loved them both, but we preferred the one we read first.
Okay. Well, he's done a few other things as well, hasn't he?
No, I'm not saying they're his best work, but out of those two, we loved them both, but we thought I preferred A and he preferred B. And then
let me guess, you were V for Vendetta, he was Watchmen.
I can't remember now because it was many moons ago. 25 years ago, I read it. Ooh. I think I read Watchmen first.
Oh.
I genuinely don't remember, and they're both brilliant. But the book, the film, Stephen Fry's cameo in that film.
Yeah.
The political leanings of that and the spirit of it and blowing up Parliament and so on and so forth. I'm not advocating
of course not.
Murder, but it was a really good film. So go with that. Off the back of your Frostpunk idea, if anyone's interested in an interesting class war type thing, watch Snowpiercer, originally a graphic novel, has been a TV show more recently with Sean Bean in it, but before it was a TV show, it's a movie with Chris Evans
Captain
America, and Ed Harris. Just been reminding myself of the cast. Tilda Swinton's in it, and it's directed by Bong Joon-ho. No?
Yeah.
Bong Joon-ho. There you go.
Parasite.
It's him.
Oh, okay, cool.
And basically, again, for those of you, the entire world's a frozen planet, the train moving all the time to keep me from dying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's this big old-fashioned
steam locomotive.
And basically, you work out during the thing that the class system is taking you full. So there's the people with no money at the back, living in slums, but they don't know it. And the further
luxury dining cars,
and it's just a fascinating. I haven't read the book. I'll be fascinated to. It is a genuinely interesting look at class and class priorities and what they think and who should be entitled to what because of where they come from and all that kind of thing. And just looking at humanity, definitely worth your time. Looks really amazing. It's Chris Pratt before he's famous.
Chris Evans.
Sorry, Chris Evans before he was famous for Captain America and famous for.
I mean, it was Scott Pilgrim at that point.
Way pre Scott Pilgrim.
Pilgrim.
This was. Wow. This was. I can tell you the year because I got the. This
but while you're looking up the year.
So
okay. Well, I have thought of another one that comes into the book/film category, and it's a bit on the nose, I think. But George Orwell's 1984.
Yeah, that's on my list. It's one of my favourite books.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, for definitely.
Yeah, and as a film with John Hurt and Winston, it's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty good movie, pretty good book.
No, again, definitely. I still love the Penguin Classic version of that book, which they brought out a series of them, which is all of their series at that time were orange bars and white page. They all looked the same.
Yeah.
And the 1984 had the black bar. It was basically they redacted the front cover.
Sure.
It just stood out on the shelf and went, I'm buying that copy. Yeah, I absolutely agree with 1984. That'd be great. All the President's Men.
Mm-hmm.
Classic. Genuinely, I think it's great fun, and I like that politicalness, which is why then, because Redford does a bunch of political films, or did in the 70s, which is why he was so suitable for the Winter Soldier when he became the Captain America villain.
Sure.
Because they wanted a 70s villain. And so and he also did 3 Days of the Condor, which is all FBI government involvement. If you haven't seen that,
I've got a book.
Go
on. Fear and Loathing on the Campaign Trail, 1972. So Hunter S. Thompson. Hunter S. Thompson is a gonzo journalist. For those of you who are not aware, gonzo journalism is where you basically add fantastical elements to journalistic stories to make them more palatable. So, for example, when he covered Watergate, he described Richard Nixon as barreling down the side of the building like a werewolf, tearing through documents with his teeth, and like that's how he sort of wrote to describe it and things to make it. The man was on a lot of drugs for a lot of the time. And
really?
But he followed the campaign trail of 1972. The book, I haven't read it for years, but I went on a real big Hunter S. Thompson sort of trip at one point and was really into his stuff. And it's fascinating. Yeah, it's following the sort of who was running for president at that point and things, and how it all went and stuff. Yeah, really cool book.
Very good.
Hard to keep track of because he was off his nuts for a lot of it, but
just a lot of verbal.
I think it's a collection of like his letters, his like stories, his newspaper articles, things like that he wrote over the time and stuff. But it's a good book.
Nice. Cool. Any more?
No.
So move on.
Yeah, move on.
My idea to bring to this when Adam and I were first discussing this was how would we fit political leanings into role-playing games that we play, because it's the thing we do. And then I had an inspiration when I came home from our dog walk and thought, you know what, there's a shit ton of politics in this, which I'm showing Adam.
Yeah.
Which is the Waterdeep Dragon Heist. Whether you play Dragon Heist or not, it's a D&D game. So I was trying to think of other role-playing games that's political, and I did some Googling and
I find it easier if you were going to do like political stuff in role-playing games, using systems where it's grounded in reality. So things like Call of Cthulhu, you can just pull around like what were the political leanings of the 1920s.
I get you. Yeah, absolutely.
And you can just pull into that sort of thing. But then again, that's you're role-playing. If you're role-playing to escape that sort of political drudgery and that potentially like really hellish sort of reality of things, then you might not want to do that.
No.
Having fantasy as
what's interesting
as a way to get around it is
this one, because I ran this campaign for 2 years, and you don't have to run Dragon Heist, but if you were to go to Waterdeep within your D&D campaign and strip it back, they described when they released Waterdeep Dragon Heist as Waterdeep being like Gotham City.
Okay.
And it being like and the plot of this, if you follow it through, is like you're trying to solve this puzzle, you're trying to solve this crime, blah 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 blah. It's not just a go and fight this dragon, all that kind of.
Yeah, because I think when people think D&D, that's kind of what you think of.
Which is why
dragon fighting. Yeah, but you can use it as a template to do all this.
And then when I looked at the book, and I'd forgotten, so I got the book out to remind myself because I'd forgotten at the beginning of this book. They describe the city as they do with all decent D&D books, where they describe. So if you buy the Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus book, there's a whole chunk just on the city, just so you know the setting. And within Waterdeep, they describe the factions, they describe how the guilds work, they describe so it's a bunch of factions, both good and bad. Whether it's things like Xanath's Guild, which isn't a guild, it's just that's the name they've given it. That's just a faction. It's just a crime syndicate. There's other factions that work, so the Harpers, and who are the goodies,
Zentarium and all that sort of stuff.
all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But it gives you details, and it gives you the background, and it shows you if you want to within your campaign come across them or get help from them politically. But it isn't just about getting people to turn up and help you. And there's NPCs that are already tied to certain factions. If you piss off the wrong one, you're going to piss off. And the politics behind not pissing him off so you can get help from them, or you end up pissing them off and later it bites you in the butt, but you won't know it. All that cliche stuff, but it's written down for you. And then there's the ridiculous politics of local government in this, which is nonsense. I'm saying you have to play it. But what was really interesting for me is how, therefore, it felt real, like you were saying, because it grounded it, it took the magic spells away. And if you want to, it describes in the book how you have to become a membership of these guilds if you want this support later. If halfway through, your first thing you get given when you achieve something is a pub. It becomes your base of operations, so you can come in and out and go. That's your place you can hide if you need to, or catch your breath. and they teach you how to run the pub, to suit the guilds, to match the guilds, to do this, do that, from a really boring, mundane way, but it's grounded in reality. And it meant that if you need this beer delivered to your shop, you need to pay this guy off, or you need to be in with this guy. And I thought that could sound really dull, and I'm not saying have a political leaning, but what it really did was built the world so it felt real. And you can do that yourself, but the fact they fleshed it out. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You've got like 30 guilds written here.
Wow.
Depending on who you need this, and there's a certain guild that if you want to be a magician, you have to basically sign up to defend the city. So etc., etc., etc. Which just fleshed out the world, and I thought was really interesting and the noble houses and who to not piss off and who to piss off. But within all of this campaign, apart from the main storyline, which ticks through, and it's interesting because it means that the way you choose a campaign is you pick which season you're going to play. You can play this campaign 4 different ways. So you pick the season you want to play in, which gives you a different bad guy who's going to be your main villain. You're going to bump into everyone all the time, but they've written the story in 4 different ways, so you come across the same thing. But also within this, if you want to have little faction missions, which might get you clout with this political party, which will help you in the main campaign. It's like side quests on a bloody video game.
Yeah.
But you have to achieve this, and you have to achieve that, and you can achieve this with that person, but that might piss off, and you might...
Sure, you're having that rippling effect across the whole city.
So you might achieve something in session 1, but in session 5 you do something which is actually negating what you do in session 1.
Yeah.
And you have to think and strategize like Frostpunk.
Sure.
Where are you? So I thought, anyway, so if anyone wants to...
It's a good one to jump into.
Yeah.
I wouldn't recommend it as a first campaign.
It was my first campaign.
Oh, well done you.
Well, it was more because it was interesting. We ended up, and I ended up homebrewing my lot, because there's laws. And there's laws they give you. So if you murder, this is the crime. If you steal, this is the crime. If you blah, blah, blah. They end up going to court and having a court case. And they get the lawyer, and they literally went and had to plead. They went into the witness box. All that kind of stuff. So it's fascinating. It is good because it's you go through, I think there's like 5 things you do over the course of, you start in whichever season you choose, and you stay in that season. But it is very much on the rails in terms of an easy structure to follow for a new game.
Okay, that's cool.
So if you're interested in the city, the book's worth picking up for that. The same with Baldur's Gate, actually, as the city. And it's one that is, if you like sword play and magic-y stuff too.
And politics.
So it would be my suggestion, should you be that way inclined. If not, as counter-programming, play something else.
Yeah.
Play Nazi zombies. Still political, because no one likes Hitler.
Yeah.
Don't join the nice party.
No.
Eat them.
Eat them.
Eat them right.
Be a vampire.
Be a vampire.
In 1942 France or whatever, you're getting dropped to your coffin and there you go. Munch them.
Another 2 things I thought of briefly is from if you're not into role-playing games and you've read all the books on your shelf, but you want people around and you're willing to, 2 ball games that I thought were cool as well.
Okay, cool.
One is called Herd Mentality,
right?
Which people may have literally heard of, pardon the pun, where you are trying to achieve, you were given a clue, and you've all got to write a certain word down that matches the answer, but you've all got to get the same word. So you're trying to follow. That's not making any sense to your face. Doesn't matter. I'm describing it really badly, but it's really interesting because you have to. I played it a couple of times where you're all trying to achieve the same goal, secretly, and you all have to go with the crowd.
Oh, I see.
Mentality.
Okay.
So you've got to give the answer. You all take a turn of being the guy with the answer or the guy with the clue.
Yeah.
And you've got the odd one out, the one that loses. You all get points if you do the same thing. So it's just a little bit of, should we go with the crowd or should we do our own thing? And they're making you.
Right.
The other one, which I've got the description for because I only played once ages ago, it's called Cosmocracy, which is really fascinating.
Cosmocracy?
Yeah. It's a science fiction debate game.
Right.
So if you had, I don't know, takeaway and beers around a mate's house.
Yeah.
And I'm going to read the description because it's worth it. This is taken from the back of the box. In Cosmocracy, players argue about randomized sci-fi themed topics by making up facts and pandering to the other alien races to win votes and become the next president of the galaxy. There is no wrong way to debate because anything you say in the game is automatically true. Trump would love this. If a player states that the galaxy is at war with an evil space oysters, then that's the case. For the rest of the whole game, not just your debate, but it becomes law for the whole game.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And then
that
it
sounds
says,
like fun.
as the debate goes on, the players establish the galaxy and how it works, creating a unique experience every time you play. And they give you cards of things you've got to argue.
Great space oysters, folks.
1,500 combinations. It's hysterical because you have little debates. Like,
Terrific.
you and I will debate
Terrific oysters.
You will debate a certain political thing. Like the space whales are really a pain in the arse.
We'll
you
get
might
the
love
space
the space
whales
whales
to pay for the while.
Yeah, and it's just, but it's fascinating and you have to be willing to debate and be it's role playing.
Yeah,
you have to be willing to be
of
silly.
course.
But it's fascinating because you become law, and all of a sudden it's true because you say it.
Right.
Why Trump would like.
Oh, I like it. That sounds great. I'll play that.
But it's not as heavy required as role playing and rolling dice and shit. It's just a debate.
Yeah, just to do it as Richard Nixon from the Futurama, though.
Well, one of the cards has you remember who's the head in Futurama? The head's the president.
Yeah,
but
well,
they've
Nixon
done that.
is a head in a jar.
Yeah, but they've done that similar look. But the guy's still got his body, but it's Saddam Hussein who's debating.
Wow. Okay.
And it's like okay. But if you want a game, you can find it on the interweb to buy. There's a free PDF. There's a PDF version you can download with all the cards. That is genuinely fun. And was a blast once we got into it. Once we understood, oh, you just want me to make shit up?
Yeah.
Okay,
I can do that. Right, we've got 5 minutes left. What is your anti-political things? I'll go with my first with a video game.
Yeah.
If you want to chop up hordes and hordes and hordes of ravenous tyrannids, Space Marine 2 is where you want to be.
Remember when you sent me the message earlier? Yes, of course it's Space Marine 2.
Yeah, of course it's. Like, it's just, you
One day I'll buy it.
proper switch your brain off and just purge for the Emperor of Mankind.
But it's still political.
Of course it is. You'll never escape it.
You'll never escape politics.
The daunting eye of terror over the top of you. But, honestly, it's just fantastic.
Mine is politically leaning sort of game front, but it's not. It's Cult of the Lamb.
Cult of the Lamb.
Because it's fun. If you don't know Cult of the Lamb, it's a silly little run-around game. Looks like, but isn't. It has a similar style of animation to... What's the thing on the Nintendo?
Animal Crossing.
Animal Crossing. Has an Animal Crossing look to it.
It's a 2D Animal Crossing.
But you are a cult of animals, and every now and then you have to go and send your people off to collect stuff. And every
sacrifice
now and then,
them to the dark gods. And
people piss you off, and you can choose to sacrifice them. You make laws up. It's quite dark and twisted, but it's cute.
But it's very cute.
It's very cute death. And so if you just want nonsense, if you want nonsense that isn't, if you want nonsense as a film that isn't political, go. We're going to do a film each. We're going to do a TV show each.
The Fifth Element, starring Bruce Willis and Mila Jovovich and Gary Oldman.
Multipass.
Exactly. It's just a feel-good, great time film.
Yeah, fair. I'm going to go with the film because why not? Because the autumn's drawing in. And make sure you watch it on a Sunday afternoon. The Goonies.
Oh, what movie?
Because why not? Oh no, and of course we have to recommend Waterworld.
Waterworld, yeah.
Because we are sponsored by Kevin Costner's Skills.
Best film ever made.
One day we'll do a watch party and we'll do an audio commentary.
Well, yeah, we should do an audio commentary of that, and we should do Bad Men as well.
Bad Men. Tell me a book people should read.
Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Okay. I've not read it.
It's a good book. It's a good film. It's a good film and a good book.
I've not seen the film.
It's a good laugh, honestly. It's one of my wife's favourite novels, and it's a lot of fun. It's very dry British humour throughout the whole thing.
I know of it. I clearly know it, but I've never got around to reading it. So
treat yourself. There's a series of 5 books actually. But
yes,
The Hitchhiker's Guide is the most famous.
And my book recommendation, but not film recommendation, would be The Hobbit.
Yeah,
because then we can ace sing.
Yeah, I'm not doing it.
In the middle of the earth. No, I won't. Because I said no singing this week. But yeah, it's nonsense. It's fun. Bilbo goes and gets gold from the dragon.
You can read, if you've got an average reading speed in the UK, you can read The Hobbit quicker than you can watch all 3 films.
Yeah, and you'll definitely get through it between election day and inauguration day.
You crack it out in a day.
If you haven't read it in 3 months, do better.
This is your reminder to go and read The Hobbit again.
If you haven't picked up The Hobbit ever, what are you doing?
Yeah. Read it to your kids.
Actually, no, hang on. No, I lie. No.
Well, don't read it to your kids.
Kevin, remind me, my brain's farting. I love the fact
he's not in the room.
I know, but I know he'll answer my question, which is great. I was going to say not the film, because it isn't the film, but the Hobbit animation is beautiful.
Right. Is it?
But I'm asking myself,
is it Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner?
No, it's the. Was it the Lord of the Rings?
There was a Lord of the Rings
Yeah,
animation.
so the Lord of the Rings. That's
I didn't do all of it. They stopped it like Moria or whatever, didn't they?
Yeah, it's really irritating, but it's better than the Hobbit films combined.
Wow. Okay.
Well,
I'm not arguing with you. Don't look at me like that. I've never seen it.
You haven't seen the animated?
No, okay. I've seen clips of it. It's very strange looking.
It's very, well, they were all
because it was like, and it was like sort of drawn over live people, wasn't it? So they had like people in suits, and then they drew the animation cells over the top of them, from what I could tell. So it looked quite weird.
Is it rotoscoping?
Yeah, something like that.
But yeah, anyway, so TV show people watch that's fun that you're liking. That has nothing to do with politics. Go. You don't watch TV?
I don't watch a lot of telly. I don't really know. Invincible. Comic book nonsense. Yeah, but a bit more adult.
A bit more adult. It's written by it's a comic book Robert Kirkman of The Walking Dead fame. So
it's gritty as all hell, but it's very, very bright and colourful.
Don't watch it with your 5-year-old.
No.
That's all we're saying.
You may look and go, oh, look, Superman, and then they tear people's heads off and stuff like that. And it's brutal. But it's really good. It's got an all-star cast, and it's fantastic.
Nice. I can't think of a TV show either.
Ah, see?
Well, I will go with watch Gotham. Not Gotham. Watch
Penguin. You've just finished that, haven't you?
2 episodes to go.
Okay.
They haven't aired them. If you haven't watched them, aired the first 6. And yeah, Colin Farrell is amazing. So go and watch that.
They're getting their money out of that prosthetic they created for the film.
They are. But what's really interesting,
I didn't see him for much of him in the actual Batman film, so we'll do a series.
If you watch Black Mass with Johnny Depp, where he played that Boston crime boss,
yeah.
The description I heard of a review, which is true, is very wiggy.
Okay.
It's obviously prosthetic and blah blah blah. It feels like the performance is very wiggy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get you. Yeah.
Whereas Oswald doesn't.
Right.
It's not wiggy. It's somehow they pull it off. So it's not like he's great in the Batman.
Yeah.
And it's that continued. So go and watch that. It's on Sky. Just don't give your money to Rupert Murdoch if you can avoid it.
No, because then you are giving your money to the Penguin.
Yeah. The only way to watch it until the release. So yes.
Arr.
Look at that. It's an hour and 1 minute.
Look at that.
We sped run things to do in the next 3 months. So this is what it was for. Things to do while we're waiting for someone else.
For the end of the world.
Someone else to move into that white building. And for our government here to figure out what they're doing.
Yeah.
But also to give you a theme. So political. No, I'm failing.
You are.
I looked at the bottle of wine and went,
I need some of that.
I mean, anything. It's like shit. Political leaning things to entertain yourselves. Make sure you keep your cats indoors.
Yeah, stay safe, stay happy, enjoy things that are, out there.
And now we're going to sing as we leave.
I'm not singing. I'm not doing it to be the people.
In the middle of the
Thanks, everybody. Goodbye.
It's a brave little hobbit that we all admire. And Adam's left the table because he's going for a vape.